What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Umineko and Sir Arcs. In the previous video, we wrapped up the question mark event for episode 6, which showed that Burncastle is going to be setting up a game, and Featherine is involved. Apparently, Featherine's a lot more wicked than we were originally led to believe. And I tried my damnedest. I tried my damnedest to try to piece together some kind of theory, something to go off of as I go into this. And, I kind of settled on the fact that, somehow, in some way, Erica was disguised in some way, shape, or form. And that's the best I could make do with. Outside of that, I don't got anything concrete I can really point to. Like I said, looking at some of the reds that we have, I'm sure that if I were to reread, the question arcs, and I had, the reds, and if I had the reds and the Decalogue both pulled up, and I was, watching it, and I was really paying attention to everything that was being said, I'm sure I would be able to figure it out. I'm sure I would. Alright? But, I'm not doing that. Because it took me long enough just to read it the first time. I really don't feel like, going through it again. So, without further ado, I think we're just going to jump into episode 7. Alright? We'll see what we have. Episode 7, Requiem of the Golden Witch. Good morning. Scheduled for today is the funeral of the Golden Witch and her game. The days of the game are already over, and nothing remains but fond memories. Here, the cold hard truth will be revealed, and death will come to the game. There is a bit of difficulty to this one. The cold hard truth will be revealed. Okay. Like the truth as in the culprit, or the truth as in what Badler's sin was? The story is very obvious, fictional, fantastic nature, and resembles an existing individual or needs to location. It is entirely coincidental. Yeah. Ooh, this is a new backdrop. Okay, I see you. Whose voice is this? Whose voice is that? Okay, this is some kind of wedding chapel, right? Whose voice is this? Sounds like Virgilia. Okay. It's definitely Virgilia. Okay. Okay, so this is the chapel. The chapel on the island. Okay. Publius. I forget her name is Publius. The suspects were gathered in a room, and several inquisitors of heresy were reporting on the results of their investigation. Their uniforms closely resembled those of Eisern Jungfrau, but they were slightly different. Also different were the badges signifying their department. Ooh! Jesus, okay! We're not even 5 minutes in, we're getting hit with the bangers. Alright, okay, I see you. Then came the sound of someone clapping their hands once. Oh, I got something clapping, but it ain't my hands. It was the lead female inquisitor. She was announcing that all reasoning had been completed. At the other end of her pointing finger was a quivering maid with frightened eyes. Her name was Shannon? No, that's not important. It's Shannon. What matters now is that she could have entered the closed room study where the victim was found whenever she pleased. And furthermore, that her claimed alibi for the time of the crime has been proven to contradict the facts. Shaking, the maid tried to continue in her illogical pleading, but all of her statements had already been seen through. And they said female maid, so which only leads me to believe Shannon or Kumasawa.
揺るがぬものとして。そんな。
Shannon.
どうして私が敬愛する旦那様を殺さねばならないのですか？
No. Must be completely unrelated then. Because I don't recognize this voice.
動機がありません。理由がありません。誰が理解それのみが立証できれば十分であるとし、金系慎しミステリーに動機は不要であると知りたまえ。
Who? After finishing her witch's prayer, Virgilia stepped back from the coffin, which lay on an altar bedecked with many beautiful roses. In her place, Battler moved to the front of the coffin, wearing his territory lord's cape. Though the cape was supposed to represent dignity and majesty, it somehow made Battler look smaller. Battler held a book with a majestic binding in his hand. It was a game record that had just been written. Or perhaps it was a tale, a game, or else a fragment. Written in it was the dream that would be more enjoyable for her than any other. Battler pressed it against his forehead and contemplated for some time. Then he kissed it, and laid it gently on the coffin. It rested upon her chest. She looked like a little girl clutching her favorite stuffed animal as she drifted off to sleep.
これは俺からお前に捧げる唯一の物語だ。
Now, unless they're reusing CGs, which is possible, that looks a lot like Maria's diary that Angie has shown off in previous times. This tale will be shut up with you in your coffin for all eternity. So no one will be able to read it except for you, there in your coffin.
猫箱に閉ざされた唯一不変不可侵の永遠の物語。
だから誰にも物語を汚せない、否定できない、反論できない、俺とこいつだけの、二人だけの唯一絶対の真実。
Okay. Here come the tunes. All right.
そう、誰が
A man dashed through a town wrapped in twilight. The daytime hustle and bustle of this beautiful village, which combined the traditional with the orderly and the classic style of the last century, now seemed like a mere dream. The orange setting sun was already hidden behind the clock tower, and the narrow alleyway was rapidly descending into darkness. As the gas lights began to turn on, they only made the darkness of the twilight stand out all the more. The man sprinted. There was no time. He had to hurry. He'd had several experiments to do and things he had to check, and all had taken longer than he'd expected.
ああ、確かにそうだ。ミステリーはフーダニットとハウダニットさえあれば十分。
In the mystery genre, the motive, or the why done it, is given the lowest priority. To have a murder, you need to have a culprit, and he needs to commit a crime. Motive isn't required for that, so it's usually the most ignored element. In fact, these days, there are even some who call it unnecessary.
ホワイダニットだけで犯人が決まっちまったら、そプロパガンダだ。だから
True, I see you there.
だからって動機ってやつ、心ってやつをないがしろにしちゃいけない。
The heart, the love. I don't know, maybe.
私たちは彼女の最後の眠りがどれほど楽しいものであるかを知っています。だから何人たりとも彼女の眠りを妨げることはできないです。楽しい夢に微笑むこの眠りを妨げられるものなどいるわけもないの
And
で
that's
す。
when fucking magical SEAL Team 6 breaks through the fucking door. Who could possibly disturb a sleeping child smiling happily at a dream? Freeze! Get on the fucking ground!
さあ、私たちはもう私たちが賑やかにしていたら彼女の
そうだな。部屋を暗くして 静かに立ち去るのが決まりってもんだ。
After looking at the coffin one last time, Virgilia turned around quietly. Battler did the same. Then he stopped and turned to face the rose-covered altar. Battler offered up his final words within his heart. As long as those words didn't leave his mouth, no one would be able to know what they were. However, those words of the heart caused Battler's expression to change several times. At first he frowned sadly, then his face clouded with remorse, and then changed to a bitter, exasperated smile. It flashed through several varied expressions. Then, the final expression that crossed his face was surprisingly a gentle smile. Something rose to Battler's lips. However, he bit it back down. There could certainly be no words to describe the many feelings he kept in his chest. So, saying anything aloud would probably be crude. Battler understood this, and stopped himself from speaking once more with a wry smile.
ありがとう。
お礼を言われるようなことは何？
あとを頼む。
After seeing Virgilia nod back at him, Battler turned away from the altar one more time, and left the chapel. Virgilia also disappeared, and with that, all disturbances that might have interrupted her blissful sleep had vanished. Until... The Inquisitors of Heresy listened with calm, no, scornful gazes. They listened to the frantic babbling of the maid accused of murdering her master. However, nothing she said could bury the fault in her own alibi. They were all mere emotional arguments. I loved and respected the master so much. I had no motive for killing him. No matter how much she spoke, it only made her look more and more like the floundering true culprit struggling pathetically. The requirements for the who-done-it and how-done-it had been satisfied. As for the why-done-it, the motive, the heart, no matter how much she spoke of gratitude for her master, who had graciously given her a job when she'd been left by the wayside after various misfortunes, didn't help her case in the slightest in the mystery genre. Therefore, her motive didn't matter. All of that could just be squeezed out of the culprit afterwards. An Inquisitor of Heresy took out a roll of parchment and held it forth, cutting off the maid's sobs and protests.
あなたがいかにして犯行に及んだその告発は大法院にて受理され、あなたの逮捕を許可したことを知りたまえ。これがあなたの逮捕状。動機など不要、犯人の特定には一切不要のものと知りたまえ。その上で謹んで申し上げる。我らが SSVD は罪を認めぬ犯罪者に真実を告白させる強制。我らが異端審問官が正義にて祝福された審問具にてあなたの獅子を絞り上げて、焼いて、潰して、引き伸ばして、吊るし上げ、そこより赤き真実を絞り出してみせることを自白すらも不要。補佐官一同、そのメイドを。
私じゃないです。私は旦那様を殺したりなんかしません。
Hello?
やめな。そのメイドは犯人じゃねえ。
A man kicked the door open, and the Inquisitors were all shocked at the sight of him.
なぜこの事件はもうあなたの担当ではないと。
うるせえ。アリバイがないやつを一人見つけたらそいつが犯人なのか。
Yeah, let
犯
him
行に
know.
は動機が、心がいらねえってのか。犯行はな、心がねえ事件なんて存在しねえ。心を無視した推理なんざ俺は
あなたのホワイダニット至上主義の主張、ホワイダニットなど無用。審問すればかようなものよ。大法院もその女が犯人であることを認めたものなり。
大法院はそのメイド以外の全員にアリバイがあるならお前の独りよがりを鵜呑みにしただけだ。
Oh.
他の被疑者のアリバイが崩れれば白紙に戻る。他の連中のアリバイも大広間の時計の音は正確に正午を刻んだか、勝手口の犬は全員に吠えるのか。確かにお前はメイドのアリバイの偽証を崩した。それは見事なもんさ。だがそれでメイドに犯行が可能でも、それを行う他の人間のアリバイは完璧なのか。他にもアリバイを偽証している人間がいる。それを探すことを怠るな。犠牲者に怨恨は、金銭関係でトラブルは、動機を捨てるな。心を捨てるな。
Okay.
動機なんて後付けでどうでもいいなんて、そんな乾ききったミステリーごっこは卒業しちまいな。
メイドが犯人でないならなぜに彼女はアリバイを偽証するもの。そしてそれを問うことも茶番。審問し赤き真実を絞り出し、犯行時刻の全てを赤き地で署名させる。
ああ、そうだろうな。お得意の拷問で全てを神の目線から客観的に赤裸々に絞り出す。でもな、心のねえミステリーと推理のやり方はな、
すでに本事件は本館に継承されたるものなり、ここに命令書もあるものなり。さあ補佐官一同、そのメイドの逮捕を命じるものなりや。
When she gave this order, her subordinates hesitated, looking back and forth between their superior and that man.
させねえよ。本当の犯人は他に動機から推理可能だ。アリバイトリックなんざ古典通り心を忘れる。
心など犯行可能な疑わしき人物を導き出し審問して、万一犯人でなかったなら別の疑わしい容疑者を審問にかければいい。
そんなのは推理じゃ。
退きたまえ。その女を、そのメイドが犯人であると知りたまえ。
Oh, man's got a barrier.
使用人が犯人であることを禁ず。
Oh. Damn, get fucked. The words of power blasted away the aides trying to arrest the maid.
バンダイン20世第11世。
Don't you start introducing more rules. Don't you start. I've taken enough time fucking trying to scour the decalogues. Don't you introduce 20 more.
このメイドを拷問したかった。第二夫人とその愛人のアリバイをもう一度洗いな。
その二人には犯行時刻の明白。
あの程度でアリボンクラのお前に分かるように説明してたら、首席を名乗りたかったらその程度の捜査と推理を見せてみな。それまでこのメイドへの逮捕状は俺が
ならあなた、そのメイドが犯行を犯さなかったことが証明でき、犯行時刻に彼女が台所を離れていたこと、彼女は犯行時刻、その女にも本館にもあなたにもなればこそ審問の拷問具で赤き真実を絞り出す。
真犯人からは血ヘドでも真実でも好きなだけだが、真犯人じゃねえ人間はいかなる審問も拷問も許さねえ。
だからこそあなたは甘いと批判されるものなり。それが我ら異端審問官の魔女裁判であると知りたまえ。
Y'all suck.
そうだな、俺たち邪悪な魔女を撃つ。だが万一にも市民を傷つけてはならない。人間は誰しも自分だけの真実を持つ。それは罪を犯した時にのみ暴かれ、俺たちにはそれを暴く資格が与えられている。だがな、ねえ、
何が
罪なき人間の罪なき真実を暴く資格なんざ、たとえ神様にだって与えられちゃいね
Okay,
え
I
んだ
see
よ。
you. I like this guy. The maid finally realized that he was trying to protect her.
どちら様か存じませんが、ありがとうございます。私本当に犯人。
んなことはお前の彼氏は全てを投げ出して感謝しとけ。あの若造は名誉も肩書きも。
そんなことをしたら。
それには及ばねえ。恋人たちの秘め事を暴くのは三流雑誌の仕事だ。ミステリーじゃねえ。俺は心のない推理は絶対に許さねえ。
Then, for the first time, the man's sullen expression relaxed, and he patted the maid's head roughly.
きっと彼氏と幸せになるんだが、勤務中に相引きするのはあまり褒められる時々にしとくんだ。
ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
These words were heard only by the two of them. The man had learned of her innocence, which could only be proven by exposing the secrets of a pair of young lovers. And he had rushed about in search of a solution, resentful of the arrogance of those trying to expose this by forcible means.
推理はな、犯人心が大事なんだ。探偵気取るなら心を忘れるんじゃねえ。そいつを忘れた。俺たちはただの知
Hell
的従事
yeah.
者だ。
This man's anti that. I'm about it.
それを忘れるな。
When the man spoke, the Inquisitors no longer had any way to argue back. This man's name is Will, and yet that's not what everyone used to call him. Head Inquisitor of Heresy of the SSVD, the 8th District Repentance Enforcement Agency of the Great Court of Heaven. Wizard hunting right. I see.
これがお前らへの最後の引き継ぎだ。魔術師狩りのライトの名を継ぐなら絶対だ。
Oh? Oh, we got a new intro. Okay, bet. Okay, I'm feeling it. Who was that in the window though? There was someone in the window. There was our new boy Will, but like there was someone else in there. Okay. Okay. That wasn't like as much of like a hype intro as it was where it's just like you're kind of like really paying attention to like all the things they're throwing at you, trying to see if you can catch any glimpses of something. Okay, interesting. Quietly. The rain fell down. The rain of sadness dripped down the outer walls of the chapel, quietly washing away the dust of the world of the living. The chapel doors were open. During a wedding, only those with invitations are allowed inside. However, during a funeral, the doors are open to all who remember the deceased. So this must be a funeral. A shadow holding an umbrella approached the chapel. It was Will. Okay. A reception desk had been set up at the chapel's entrance. As the shadow approached, Kanon, who had been sitting at this desk, stood up and welcomed him with a bow.
こちらが受付でございます。弔問の皆様にはご記帳をお願いいたします。
悪いな、弔問じゃねえ。待ち合わせだ。
You came to a funeral to meet someone? A dubious expression rose to Kanon's face. Will pulled an envelope from his pocket and showed him the sender's name.
失礼いたしました。どうぞお入りを。
すまねえな。せめてそいつをもらえるか。
ありがとうございます。きっとお喜びになられると思います。
Kanon handed him one of a set of golden roses, which were being handed out to all the mourners. Will took it, silently bowed his head, and entered the chapel. Okay. Inside the chapel, several people who appeared to be the family of the deceased were gathered. They all seemed to be recalling memories of the departed.
Beatrice! Nothing!
お父様、どうかしっかり控え室の方で少し休みましょう。
私が殺したのよ。私が。
Yes and no.
とんでもない。どうしてローザ様が殺したことになりましょ
お父さん、すごい泣きよね。
ベアトリーチェ
絶対お母様が亡くなった時より泣いてるわ。
こら、今はそんなこと言うときちゃうで。
Some sobbed, unable to conceal their tears. Some spoke softly of old memories. They were all remembering the dead in their own way, it seemed.